Hi everyone, thank you for being here. We're really excited to present Performance Playground. All right, so Performance Playground, what is it? Why did we make it? So we met with Naeem, and one of the problems that he's been encountering as a guitar teacher is that many beginner to intermediate students play really well in private lessons, in practice. They know the piece, they play with few mistakes, but when they get in front of an audience, when they play in a concert, they start making mistakes, they encounter stage fright, and it just kind of, messes up their whole performance. So the solution we came up with was a virtual reality theater experience that gives these students a safe virtual environment to practice playing in front of strangers, playing in front of an audience. And let's meet our team. I'm Christi. I'm the 3D artist, and I'm also the co-project manager. I was responsible for 3D assets, texturing, lighting, and then also I kept track of our sprints and backlog and that sort of thing. We have Kat, who is our UX UI person. She was also responsible for taking notes during testing, keeping track of surveys, and just kind of keeping us in line with what the students actually wanted to use. And then we have Tusker, who was our developer and pretty much brought the whole project together. And he was the other half of the project management team. He kept in contact with our client Naeem and kept them up to date with what we were doing and scheduled testing with his students. And as far as organizing the project, I used Trello to kind of create our backlog, keep track of what we're doing in each sprint, when each task was completed, making sure that we were all on track, and then I had a larger kind of roadmap of what I thought we needed to get done each sprint throughout each quarter. And then we did most of our communication via Discord, communicating when we were in the build so we weren't kind of conflicting what files we needed, so on and so forth. And I will pass it along to Kat to go more into detail. Project.
Thank you. I'll go over the project evolution. So in the early stages, we started brainstorming a lot of concepts on how to help musicians build confidence during performing. We even joked about letting the users throw tomatoes. The audience throw tomatoes, at the user, but don't worry, no tomatoes or users were harmed in the making of this project. Let's see here, and I'm also going to look at my notes so I don't ramble on you guys, okay? So, okay. As the quarter went on, we did build several prototypes, and starting with a basic 3D environment and a simple UI. But as we learned from our feedback and our surveys, that this was just too complex for the user. So we played around with randomizing the animations, adjusted the lighting and textures, and tweaked the sound so they were coming farther from the user versus directly in their ear. Our biggest pivot happened when we found out, our project was too complex and inauthentic. We decided to simplify everything. We made the UI, we changed it up a little bit. We put it in front instead of having it in the back. We adjusted the textures and the lighting, and we kept listening to feedback and reflecting and making changes as we went along. So this is our before, and here is our after. So our new theater, our new audience, UI at the beginning that would take them into the project, into the immersive theater, and how to end it so it's not too complex for those that are holding guitars or other instruments. So our user research. How did we get all this feedback? We used Microsoft Forms and also had some informal interviews with Bellevue guitar students here at our school. And we learned that sometimes stage fright sets in when they're being presented to perform. So many things that we didn't include in our project, we added later on because this would make the experience more bliss. Let's see here. And also, the UI was too complex. Before it was behind the user, and now we moved it to the front so that those that were holding their guitars, they didn't have to do too much with their hands because they're already hands-off. And yeah, and I'm gonna pass it over to Tusker. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so of course, like any project, it didn't come without its fair share of difficulties. But I want to go over some of the ones that I think have some nice lessons to take away when you go to build whatever projects you go to build. A big one was we started with too big of a scope. We had to quickly realize that a lot of the things we wanted to do were going to take too much time for a team of 3 people. So we had to cut down scope. And on reflection, I realized that likely that is the best way to start a project. You start with a small scope because you can always add more pieces onto it. But it's much harder to take pieces off of the scope you already have. And then more technical challenges. On my end, I had a whole idea for this complex system for automatic clapping that the audience would do when the user stopped playing to simulate what audiences do in real life. But the sound system for using through the Oculus headset microphone, Meta headset microphone, sorry, can be really finicky and tough to get exact. So we went with the simpler system, and we discovered that it was actually worked almost as well. Like the complex system would have made it a little bit better, but taken exponentially more time. So I recommend just starting with simple systems and seeing how well they scale up before moving to build something incredibly big. And then Christi had a technical challenge, her own, where with our models, as you saw, we updated from the pictures Kat showed, we updated our models halfway through the project because the previous ones were all skinned and rigged to the same bones, but they weren't exactly meant to be, which caused some odd clipping issues because we wanted to keep the same system of all the same animations to make it easier to add new things and change stuff without having to go through and change it for every single audience member model. But we ended up kind of fully committing to that idea and going and finding models from a website called Ready Player Me that are meant to be skinned and rigged to the same model, or to the same bones, I think is the right term, which really helped the project become more immersive when there's not insane clipping going on as the models perform animations they're not meant to. And it really helped our project feel better to use, I think. And last, a big challenge we had that the entire entire 2 quarters, I guess, it would be Kat never having done UI or UI in Unity before. But Kat has a tip that for anyone trying to learn UI in Unity, especially for Meta, which is follow the Meta's UI guide, which she found extremely helpful. And then yeah, as Sophia said before, these are open educational resources. Yeah, guys, probably the QR code for a touch.
On Explorer, yeah.
Okay.
The second window.
There we go. Okay. Yeah. So this is. We'll put the QR code up again in a bit. This is our website for it. Our page for the resource. As you can see, top of the description. Then we have. Just go up a little bit more. How to install it. It's relatively simple. You follow this link. It asks you to agree to join the testing channel, I believe. And then if you do, it'll show up in your headset library. We have, in our documentation, which is a Notion site, we also have a how to use page, which explains all the features that are currently in the program and how to use them. And then, of course, the actual documentation, like technical documentation of the project, as well as a link to our GitHub, so you can find all the source files that we used to make it, and our trailer. We hope that this can. We hope that even if we leave the project, more people can come in and pick it up and really improve it. Because it's something that is good as it is now. It's a simple idea, but can be expanded upon a lot. For example, as I said, with the large scope, some of the things we want to add are like more interruption types, like more things the audience will do while you're in a performance to interrupt you. Different venues was a big one that we didn't have time to do, because modeling that, having the audience throw tomatoes at you, having bigger audiences, all these things that could make it so much better, but we just didn't have time to do. So we hope that someone can pick it up.
And then we'll demo. Yeah.
And then we do a live demo. It's hard to do it while you have a guitar in your hand, so it's all made to work, which is based off your hand tracking.
Here's the main menu. We have a toggle stage button, which is for if the stage mesh is interfering with your view of your guitar, you can turn off the stage.
Yeah, so here from my aim, we originally made the stage with just the idea of kind of what Kat's doing, like kind of sideways. But here's my aim, some players like to hold their guitar differently as they play. And so even if it's not perfect, you can turn the stage on and off to make it easier to see your guitar depending how big it is, where you like to sit, yeah, how you're playing, like to hold your guitar, stuff like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, please silence your cell phones as the performance begins.
Yeah. I don't know how audible that is, but this beginning speech. It's pretty basic right now. What happened?
I don't know. Well, maybe it noticed my hand.
Kat's just really excited, so sorry.
I am.
Like at a beginning announcement, to kind of introduce, to kind of try and induce that stage fright that students said they got when, as you walk out onto the stage to perform, as well as a tooltip telling you how to end the performance, which we did as just tap the front of your headset. Although right now we are waiting for one to do an interruption as an example. But yes, the light's dim. Trying to get back to it.
I heard a cell phone go off.
The interruptions happen between 30 to 60 seconds. One of the things that we got in testing was that it was happening too frequently. Like someone was constantly sneezing, and that was very unrealistic. Well, disruptive. Probably wouldn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah, they do these little fidgets, make some noise, just basically throwing off your like inner rhythm from as you're playing to try and help you adapt to that, as well as adapt to the feeling of kind of being watched by someone as you play, by a group of people as you play. That's it. And the performance, all you do is you take your hand and you tap the front of your headset, and then lights open. You do that, and then
Thank you.
Send you back.
I'm here all evening.
That's what it is.
This is our Notion. From here, you'll get a little project summary, and then we have different tabs for technical documentation, UI, design, 3D style guide, the references we got, and then this is a little discussion of like just our progress throughout the whole project. We've got how to use, and then just some credits where we gathered some of the models and lighting and that sort of thing.
And then to make it easy to continue working on the project, I have, under the technical documentation, also have a guide on installation. It's relatively simple. It's basically the same as what's on the OER page, but it's here as well in case users get to this website instead of the OER one. I have a breakdown of all the objects all the notable objects within the project, such as all the scenes, what's the big things in them, what they do, and then all the scripts, what they do. The scripts themselves have comments to hopefully make it significantly easy for people to add on to the project. Yeah, and then questions you can email me, but I'm gonna change that as I go to college. Yeah. I don't think there's much of later sections.
Thank you.
And,
And that's it. If there's any questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
So that was VR, right?
Mhm.
Is there a problem that the player cannot see their hands,
If
like
you
when playing? Have you gotten that feedback in any way?
I mean, to a degree, but you can kind of see your hands because part of it, I don't know, it has pass through. So that's what disabling the floor does. Is it like makes it so that the entire floor is pass through instead of just a cutout we put in it.
Oh, so you can
So
see your hands?
yeah, you can see your hands and the
Okay.
guitar through it and stuff.
If you look down, it was kind of
Yeah.
hard to see
With the lights
with
on.
the
Yeah.
lights off.
Okay.
And also the headset really shows like a centered rectangle. Doesn't really show the periphery of the cameras, which is where you generally see it.
If you go to Google Chrome, maybe now that the lights are on, can you see?
Yeah.
So I can see my hands, like everything below me, I can see. So if I'm playing a guitar, I will be able to, and it's like this pass through. So you see the stage, but what you have under you is like the real world.
Yeah.
And well, you can put your hand up and see through it. Unfortunately, you put like the guitar up, it won't be visible through it on your hands.
Yeah.
Through the method we did it.
So, and have you thought about other applications of this, like training for, I don't know,
Speeches?
speeches or
Or
comedians or
yeah.
something?
There's
Okay.
definitely applications out there for speeches and doing like pitches at work.
Yeah.
This is the only one that is specifically geared towards musicians. We couldn't really find any that were for, guitarists, for example, or any other musician. Because the others kind of have the audience interact with you more, whereas this one is like you're just being watched while
Yeah.
you do your performance.
You could have like AI-powered an AI-powered heckler there if you're a comedian.
Yeah, that's
would
it's
be
a little
cool
above.
addition, yeah.
It's a little above my scope. It's a small part. I don't think I can do that. We have more manpower, but
Yeah.
I have a quick question. I like your testing of other musicians. I think that's really interesting, and I'm just curious. You mentioned something about this idea of hearing your name announced and like when to stage fright begin. I think for myself, sometimes hearing my own heart beating quickly makes me nervous, and I'm nervous because it's almost like a cycle. And I'm just curious for other people. I'm assuming everyone has a different path, either in or out of that experience. And I'm wondering what you learned through your interviews with students in music learning.
Yeah, through the testing, a lot of the students were saying that it was the dimming of the lights, that announcement. I don't know if everybody could hear it, but like the announcement of like the performance is starting, please silence your cell phones, let's welcome our presenter to the stage, and it's that kind of like anticipation of like getting started, and then everybody claps, and then it's silent. Now it's all eyes on you, getting ready, start playing is kind of like the feedback that we got.
Also, another feedback that we got was like maybe later, what we were working with our client was like adding our client, like Naeem, and like the I guess the board of music directors. And so for like those that are trying to, I don't know what it's called, but like when they perform and it's in front of their
There's-
administration, right?
There was something that we weren't able to implement, which would have been nice, was that there's a different sense of anxiety when you're playing in front of somebody who knows how to play, as opposed to people who don't. So they'll know like, oh, that's not how that piece is supposed to be played. You're playing it too fast. You miss these notes. Seeing your teacher or whoever you're testing in front of, that's another sort of like anxiety. And it was a thought to get images of Naeem and maybe some of the other music people in there to kind of like stimulate that sort of anxiety.
Yeah.
Didn't quite make it, but
yeah,
that
we said
was
That was
we had a
something we
much bigger
learned.
scope
Yeah.
version, but we had to scale back rapidly as we realized our constraints.
yeah.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a metrics to compare the anxiety before using this application and after, or I don't know, isn't there a way of like knowing if it's working?
You should integrate it with the DP.
Put a headset on too.
Yeah, some kind of metric or feedback from the musicians.
I think I do it like real like testing stuff or like in this like.
I think as it currently stands, we don't have anything in it, and we weren't working on this project long enough to like let the students use our project to kind of like prepare themselves for a presentation, and then do the presentation, then let us, at least that's how I would do it, is like let them do the presentation and let us know like, did you feel more prepared, were you less anxious? That would have been things like nice to like practice. We just didn't quite get it to the point where we were ready to do that, but that's kind of like a next step. If someone were to pick this up, I would definitely recommend doing it that way, just to see if it's actually working.
I think it can be working because it's like you are simulating an audience. So I guess for common sense, I would say it will work.
That's the hope, for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
In my mind, you know, big part of the stage fright. In my mind, another thing that it's helped with, though, beyond just the stage fright, is the distractions, is the interruptions, and that breaking your rhythm. I think is, in my opinion, it was originally about stage fright, but I think in my opinion, it's now become most helpful in terms of that. Of you know, if you're playing and then off in the background, people are coughing or checking their phone, even if it's in the dark, that's going to be distracting for you. And I find that I think that's the place where it's the most helpful.
There was a question.
Yeah. Do you have a question?
Oh, I was just going to say, I spoke with Naeem. I'm the OER librarian. And I spoke with him about what he wants to do with this, and I think he has plans to test. Like that.
Cool.
And so I think you guys were creating this amazing thing, and then he's going to take it, you know, and try it out, and
Yeah,
So, I know that's in his plans.
Yeah, he was really excited, and like his enthusiasm definitely really helped us kind of get this thing up and going, and so I'm excited to see him use it.
We have one more question in the chat, and again, this will be the last one. It's 1 p.m. But Drew is asking, what was the most challenging and the most fulfilling part of this project?
Me, I guess. Well, probably the most challenging thing that I had to do throughout it, that then I also abandoned, was that automatic clapping system. I was really committed to trying to get it work for longer than I should have been before I decided that it wasn't worth the resources, and I had to drop it for just a simple stop and start clapping. And the most fun part is just seeing the project. I like making video games, and like just it's the same as that, seeing the project come into fruition as it all like coalesces into the final product, and you can see it, and it's there, and it's like this thing that you have made. You spend all this time making, and it's here now. You can use it and share with people, and that's just always super fulfilling for me.
The challenge for me was learning UI. So learning that and help with Maria and like our instructors and classmates, that really was, I think, what helped me get over that challenge, and seeing it all come together at the end and it being so beautiful after like, you know, them telling you like, no, it's ugly, do it better. And it's just like, how can I do this better? But you end up doing it, and I think that was very rewarding too, that, you know, being pushed a little more and being able to come up to the challenge.
I think for me, it was getting out of that mindset of like, just add more is better, add more, make it bigger, and like kind of trying to reel myself in and try to finesse what we already had and make it look as good as we can, and not just have something that looks okay but there's a lot of it. Have something smaller that's maybe simpler but looks really good and hopefully works. I mean, I know, kind of a cop-out, so it's been really fulfilling seeing it all together, all the pieces all together and working how we envisioned it working. It's been really fulfilling.
Thank you so much.